Equator every year, upwards of that 1,000 kids. I guess the numbers justify that the work that we're doing towards educating Kenyans on conservation is working. The pellets we are feeding them is cereal, grains, concentrate of grains like corn and wheat, alfalfa and sunflower, which is also given to animals like cows and goats and other livestock kept by people. So it is nothing special for giraffes. Out in the wild, they feed on acacia trees like the one we have out there. In this area here, we have many different species of trees. You notice most of them have been eaten by the giraffe, so they are not particularly selective. They can eat acacia as they delight. In the absence of acacia, they can eat almost any other tree that they can find. And the giraffe is famous for its long prehensile tongue, up to about 18 inches long. This is a little tongue because this is a young giraffe. But if we had the bigger giraffes here, it would be much bigger, about 18 inches long. They take the pellets and then store them on their cheeks, and then they swallow them to regurgitate and chew them later as cud. So they are ruminants. They chew cud just like many other herbivores do. And a young giraffe like this, a 4-year-old, can take up to about 50 kilograms of food in a day. In the case of our giraffes, it doesn't have to be the pellets that I'm feeding Laura. The pellets constitute maybe a quarter of their daily requirements. So one can eat about 10 up to 15 kilograms every day, and then the rest they get from the trees in our sanctuary. The much bigger ones like Jock, the big male, and Buttercup can take up to about 70 kilos of food in a day, about 25% of it being the food that we are feeding them here. Well, the warthogs that you see on the other side, we call them our uninvited guests. Uninvited because they come from the nearby Nairobi National Park, about 3 miles away, and they too love the pellets. If you draw some to the warthog, they love feeding on them. And because they know they'll get that feed, they come almost on a daily basis. And many of them have actually dug up dens in this area in the property of the Giraffe Center. This side of the center has about 40 acres where the giraffes browse. Across the road on the other side, all that forest belongs to them, another 110 acres. So altogether we have about 150 acres sustaining our 7 giraffes. We can keep up to about 10 or 15, but we don't want to do that because we don't want them to overbrowse the trees in case sometimes it's very sunny, like when we have a drought. Is not good for them. So what we do when we have new ones born, like this one, we move them to the wild into some selected national parks where we have only the Rothschild kind of giraffe. If you mix them with the other 2 types, we have the Maasai subspecies of giraffe in southern Kenya, like in Masai Mara and Serengeti, with their very irregular markings, and which go all the way down. We said that the Rothschilds have white socks, no markings from the knees down. If you mix them, they can interbreed. In northern Kenya, we have the reticulated with their very fine markings, very white boundaries, and very beautiful when you look at the skin markings. Their average height can be about 18 feet tall. So for an animal that is 18 feet, and when it extends its tongue and the head up, it can feed at heights up to about 20 feet. It must have a tremendously high blood pressure, which enables the heart to pump blood all the way to the head when a giraffe is in the upright posture when it is feeding. But people ask themselves what happens to a giraffe when it bends down to drink, because of its shape it has to spread its front legs in order to be able to reach the water, which they do, but it doesn't seem to be quite comfortable. Now the blood pressure problem is solved in that the arteries on the neck have some special valves that control the pressure, so that when the giraffe is feeding high up, they open, and the high blood pressure is able to maintain circulation even in the brain as the giraffe feeds. Now, when a giraffe bends down to drink, the valves in the neck close so as to limit blood flow to the head, so that we don't have too much blood going to the head. And because it has to drink a lot of water at a go, some giraffes can drink up to about 50 liters of water at a go. That takes quite some time. So a drinking giraffe will take some water and then raise her head up, keep going up and down. It takes water and then up and down again. There are two reasons for this. One, They have to watch out for predators because they know in the drinking position, that is when lions and leopards could go for them, especially the young ones and the very old ones. Again, if they bend for too long, pressure starts building in the head, and that is not good for them. So they have to ease the pressure by raising the head quite often as they drink. But when they are feeding at about this level, about 5 feet from the ground, that doesn't seem to bother them very much because some of the trees they feed on are about the same height. Most of the small shrubs that they feed on, even the acacia, the whistling dawn acacia, it's about 6-7 feet. It's not very high up. Although we have other types of acacia that grow up to 20 feet, some even up to about 50, 100 feet. But they can feed on any height from about 5 feet to about 20 feet. That is comfortable for them. And they're very gentle. The Giraffe Center was started when this kind of giraffe, the Rothschild, was on the brink of extinction. Extinction because we had them mainly found in troubled regions like Sudan and where there is fighting, like Uganda, where there was a lot of fighting in the 1970s, especially during the days of the President Idi Amin. They were virtually wiped out in their national parks. So the lady who owned the big house, the Giraffe Manor on the other side, when she knew the story, she went to the only place we had a population of about 120 giraffes of this kind, brought a few of them here to use them to raise awareness on the plight of this kind of giraffe. She raised money so as to help capture the few remaining ones in troubled regions, have them translocated into some of our national parks in the country, where they've continued to do extremely well. It is now possible to translocate some back into Uganda's national parks now that the country is stable, there is no more fighting. She built the Giraffe Center and dedicated it to the education of local school children who come to see and feed the giraffes. They love doing that. In fact, this morning I had about 300 school children here in about 6 groups, but they've since gone back for their afternoon classes. The program we offer those kids when they come, after welcoming them, they come here to see and feed the giraffes and touch them and take photographs. Later we go to the little auditorium where somebody gives them a lecture on nature conservation. We don't talk about conservation of giraffes because they've done quite well. We talk about conserving nature, conserving other wildlife that is in danger. We have many nature videos that they watch every day. We have 3 classes where we can have up to about 4 groups at one time. After the video and after a short break, they go for a walk in the sanctuary out on the other side, which has got about 100 acres with several other mammals and about 160 species of birds. So they are taken for a guided nature walk. At other times, we organize for them painting competition, arts, workshops, and all the paintings in the house is the work of those kids. They are adorable animals. There is no experience as coming face to face with one, getting to touch it. And also, of course, the visitors who come here, we encourage them to come and see them, and that closeness with the animals. The same thing we tell the school parties that come here. They must learn to appreciate them by coming to see them because they don't get opportunities to go and see those animals in our national parks. By coming here, they see them, and when they appreciate them, then they can talk about protecting what they know. Unlike in the past, where we have situations where people protect what they don't exactly understand. But by coming here, getting to see the giraffes and touch them, they love them, and then later they can help us to protect them. And I would like everybody in the world to participate in conserving our